welcome. Welcome to this panel for the next 35 minutes, because I think 5 minutes were taken away from the panel before, which was great because it was a great discussion. So 35 minutes to come, and what we're going to talk about is female empowerment. As you can see, I'm in company of 4 great ladies, 4 fantastic female representatives of our industry, the hotel industry. And I'd like to introduce them to you. My name is Lea Jordan. I'm co-founder of techtalk.travel, and I start off with Franziska. Franziska, Altenrath is co-founder and managing director at Tutaka. You probably just followed the prior panel where you've already contributed as well. You say about yourself you're a sustainability professional, focusing on the supply chain and hospitality industry, which is super interesting, and not our topic here today, but you're also a company owner. So you founded Tutaka 2018, which is a young company, so you made your experience already. You have a team you're overlooking. And for everyone, just to give you the context on Tutaka, just to be straight here who we're talking to, is a marketplace for sustainable procurement for the hospitality industry. Enough about that. Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Then we have Anna. We have Anna Heuer. Anna Heuer is managing director of HSMA Germany. HSMA Germany is one of the leading associations in the German-speaking market for revenue management distribution. You all should know them. If you don't know them, look them up. And Anna is with HSMA now since 2020. And before that, she was for 8 years with Upstersboom, who's a hotel group that has a very special approach to company culture and inclusivity. So I think you have great contributions to share with us today in this panel. And then we have Sabine Reise. Sabine Reise founded her own company almost 17 years ago, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can hear there's some industry experience here on the stage. She doesn't look that way, but there's some years. So she founded EasyRoam back then, and then they merged in 2019-20 with Allseated, who's a MICE technology provider for virtual spaces and hybrid events and virtual events. So thank you for joining as well.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and then I'm not going to say it, but you are, right, with 20 years. The shortest. The shortest, the most Scandinavian of all of us here. No, it's Linda Vallner. Linda Vallner is Vice President of Business Development at Protel, a leading PMS provider in the hotel industry that most of you are probably familiar with. And Linda, you've been in the industry for more than 20 years. And not only the hotel industry, in a very particular segment in the hotel technology space, which I think is super interesting to look at, right? So that's a nice mixture of ladies we're having up here. And as we look at the topic, female empowerment, there's a lot of opinions out there, there's a lot of data, a lot of statistics, there's a lot of movements, but in the end, it's very much about how are the individual experiences, right? And that's what I want to start with. And in the pre-conversation we had with these 4 ladies, which took us almost like 45 minutes because we couldn't stop, but Linda pointed out a very interesting point, and I'd like to kick this off with you, because you said there's a very different experience for each woman depending on what stage in her career she's at, what she's experiencing, and what challenges or opportunities she's facing. So could you share with us, what was your point with that when you pointed that out in the pre-conversation?
Well, it's exactly like you say. Women go through different stages in their career. They start out, they might advance, they might choose not to advance in their career. We have kids, we take a break, or we don't have kids, and so on. From a personal perspective, the first part of my career was fantastic. I was young. I didn't feel I had any challenges about being a woman. I knew I had to work hard, but everybody has to work hard, especially when we're young and we want to go forward with career. When I was 30, I was so fortunate to have the opportunity to become director of opera for Europe, Africa, Middle East. So this is probably the continent with the most patriarchal areas. And that was the first time, and I was still very young, right? Only 30 years old. That's 15 years ago. The world has changed a lot since then. It was a NASDAQ company. There was only male in the management team. I was the only woman outside HR and marketing in a director role. And that was the first time where I really started to feel that there was something going on. There was something different. I am personally convinced that it's better today because there are more females in management roles and there is more visibility. But I'm also convinced that we are very far away from where women feel comfortable in such kind of roles. The good news is, the older you get, the easier it gets, right? It's like with so many other things. I don't know if it's the experience that we get, if we stop caring so much, or what it is, but it certainly gets easier. And I feel that now I have, in the last years, also gained a very good insight in how to tackle this case of females or quotas, if you will, and what my view is on how we can improve that for the future. So those are the 3 stages, I would say, and I think it depends on where you are in the world, it depends on who you are, and what your ambitions are, and it certainly depends on who you are surrounded with.
Right, thank you, Linda. And then because you also have more than 20 years experience in the industry, so I want to hear your opinion in a second. But before that, I'd like to ask you, Anna, in a brief statement, how would you describe your own personal experience in relation to this whole topic around female leadership? How was that for you personally on your career path?
Yeah, I'm the lucky one because I never had any bad experiences. And this is quite good, but maybe I have to go through my life a little bit. And I was grown up very sheltered on a very small island in the North Sea, and you know each other. And
it's not an eye, just...
Yeah, not an eye. It's really nice there.
Not an eye.
And when you grow up like this, there's not so much space to be treated unpleasant or something. Then I moved to Düsseldorf, and yeah, there was a role in a Hotel Nico Düsseldorf was my first career step. I did my training there, and I was working there for 6 years. And yeah, I met several crazy people there, but it doesn't touch me, so it doesn't hit me that hard. And then, yeah, that's it. And then I moved to Upsalzboom, as Lea just said, and there's Bodo Jansen, maybe some of you know him. He promotes a very special way of working and a way of respectful and valuable way of working together. And there's no room for inequality, and that's what I felt, and yeah, I appreciated that very much.
Right, I see. And Franziska, for you, like founding your own company with a female co-founder, right? So you're 2 women leading a company, also with a very new topic, I'd say, for our industry. I mean, it has been around for some years, but in hospitality it's picking up. What's your personal experience? How would you describe that?
Yeah, well, I think I had certain moments of kind of awakening. So basically, I started my career in the automotive industry, which is also not known for having a lot of women in there. And then I moved from there to fashion, and then finally hospitality. And I think back then I did not see certain things that I would have a different perspective on right now. So basically you start and you take everything as normal, right? And then in, I think especially recent years with Me Too scandal and the general broader discussion around that topic, I also started to see like, holy shit, we're living in a world which is highly male-coded, and which is the case, and where I'm now starting to, just to see things differently, and obviously we are also trying to bring those insights into our own company, even though it's a small team, but
how big is the team? What size are we talking? 8 people
right now. Yeah. And we're trying to bring it in. My co-founder, for example, just had a baby last year, and that was the first time also we were we had to do with such a situation, and we built a whole structure around that, which I think was great and a great experience for all of us. But I think that the experience I had back then and the experience from the perspective I have now are very, very different.
Right. I'd love to dive into that a bit more later on in the conversation. And for you, Sabine, with 20 years plus experience, pointing this out again, because it doesn't look that way at all if you agree with me. I mean, with you is also special, right? It's similar as with Linda. So you're very unique examples because you're also in the tech space. It's not, right? So you founded your own tech company. Yes. In an industry that's highly male-driven and has been probably even more back then. How was it for you?
Yes, exactly. So for me, actually, I want to go one step back. When I was invited on this panel, really, on this topic, female empowerment, I was like, okay, why did they ask me? And what is this topic about? You know, I really, because it never appeared in my life, not for one day in my life. I really have to say that, not for one day. I felt inferior. I felt any other than the male around me. But that was because I was always working. I started my business really early, and I was in a tech industry. And the moment I started my business, I was by myself, you know. And I grew the team, and we started the team, and we started to build a culture. And this culture was all around my person, sure, because I started it, like you know that. So we built a culture in the company, which is basically empowered by what I do, because I'm the role model there all the time. I can't help it because I'm the leader of the pack, really. So, and then we merged with a company which is an international company, an international startup, with a very influential co-founder, and a woman as well. So that again showed me, okay, yeah, there are women out there, and you're just going to go your way. You're a strong woman, and you're achieving what you want to do. So really, I was really a little bit surprised to be on this panel, but then digging deeper and then thinking about the 20 years that I've worked in this business. Sure, there were situations where you would be sitting in a room with 20 male persons and or other managers in the room, and even being young, you would have to work twice as hard. You would have work to reason with them twice as hard, and you would have to explain it. You have to have a very profound view on things and really be straightforward with them. And many times it didn't quite work out, you know. And this is what I'm taking with me for now to build my team. And whenever we hire women, that's what I try to give, or to give them back, is that to really empower them and take a little bit more of the risk that they would usually take, and just be themselves and feel comfortable in what they do.
Right. Thank you. And I mean, now when we just listen to what you've said, it's mostly you're saying I wasn't too impacted. I see the differences, and if you look at the statistic, that's quite different, right? That paints a different picture, and it's quite a frustrating exercise if you ask me, because currently, we have 70% of our industry's workforce is women, but still we only have 17% business leaders that are female on executive level, and we only have 6% who are CEO level or C-level, who are women. And that's, for example, based on a European Women on Boards study conducted 2020, so it's very recent numbers. So it's and it even got worse now based on the pandemic, the recession. So there's people calling it the she-session, especially in America, for example, where they don't really have the employment protection that we have in Europe, in European countries. But there, they say 55% of the overall people leaving the workforce was women, and even worse for women that were colored or from different other ethnic backgrounds. So there's a huge problem there, which is not only that females are leaving the industry, it's actually talent leaving the industry, where we are at all looking at a very difficult situation there. And then another problem I want to point out, which is a fact, which is proven in many countries across the world, is the pay gap, right? The gender pay gap, that's a fact. It's nothing we can paint pretty, it's there. And if I just cite the data of OECD, it's a very recent 2020 report as well. It's an average of 13.5% that women have less wages for the comparable positions. So that's frustrating, right? Because if you listen to that, it sounds, okay, that's maybe we're also looking at it from a privileged position. So the question I want to pose, and I start with you, Linda, is what is the reason then that we don't have equal ratio of women in C-level positions and senior executive positions?
Wow, that's such an easy question, Lea.
I know.
I have the answer to the reason for that.
Now you know why you were invited.
No, I think the question is so complex, right? It really depends where you are from, which country you're in. I always feel very fortunate to have been born in Scandinavia. And the older I get, the more respect I have for Scandinavian men, because they are the ones that have enabled the equality in Scandinavia that I have had the luck to grow up in. It's not about that, in my humble opinion, it's not about quotas or driving polarization between the genders. It is about us together creating a diverse, respectful environment. And it's not about women. Women is just one part of society. When we create an environment, and the CEOs, and you pointed out these figures, Lea, but it concerned women. It would also be good to know how many colored, how many gays, how many of others minorities, because women are still often being considered minorities, right? That's really hilarious.
She disapproves, clearly.
But I think that when we look at it from this perspective, which is my preferred way, to look at it from diversity, then the magic will happen.
Right. Franziska, what's your point of view? What do you think what is the challenge there? Why don't we have more women in C-level positions?
Well, I think, first of all, it's that the reason why we don't have more women in C-level top management positions is because they're dropping out along the way. And then the question is, why do they drop out? And I think there are several answers to that, obviously. And I think one very obvious one are the working structures that we have. So the question, where do we work? How much do we work? When do we work? And I think so flexibility of work could be a major game changer for many women. But apart from those, let's say, hard facts, I think there are also softer ones, which have to do a lot with culture. So to create an environment which is non-threatening for women, and I know that's a big word, but I also know that, I mean, in my own experience, but also in other women's experience, we go through many situations at work which have these tendencies of being slightly threatening, like whether it's being in a room alone with a lot of men, whether it's being in a dark meeting room and waiting for someone. And I think we really need to acknowledge that it's a certain system which for women can be threatening and disadvantaging. And so that's, I think, what needs to be worked upon.
Right. Anna, what would you say? What is the barriers to career advancement for women in our industry?
I was thinking about that a long time, and honestly, I don't know. The only thing what I think is maybe women are like understatement, and they are not. They prove themselves before dropping into a new position or.
So you're saying there's a different behavior in how they approach business?
To their own and to the others as well. So they are like, okay, just I'm watching about that and just seeing how it works, and maybe I can't do that. Let me prove myself, and then I go into this position.
That leads to a nice point that I want to use the segue for, and I think you can add to that, is that there's this discussion about female versus male skills. What's your take on that, Sabine? Is there a difference in the skill set that a man brings and a woman to the business?
For sure. And it's proven, there are books about it, how men enter a room in a presentational situation, for example, how they take in the room, and how women do. And I think it's like you said, we are questioning our move, every new movement that we make. We're questioning it in every perspective, all the time. So, and that makes us more insecure. But on the other hand, it makes us also, that's a very valuable fact that you bring to the table, because you grow by questioning yourself, by questioning processes and all of this. So it's something that's very valuable, but we don't see it as valuable. We question each other or ourselves. And that's something that men probably feel on the other side. And then it's a way of seeing us in a little bit more insecure way. And I think we can both learn a lot from one another, and very much so, to really, and that's something what happens throughout the years. If you're in the business for a long time, you adapt things. You see that, and you adapt things that men do, and then you maybe change. You don't want to change too much, but you change in this perspective.
Is this a good thing? Is this a good thing? Is this something you should seek to do?
No, you should change, but it just, and it's. I'm meaning. What I mean is that in a positive way, to take these skills that men bring to the table and just use it for your own personal advantage.
Anna, you wanna?
I wanted to add. I think these skills, these soft skills, most of the women have. This is perfect for this world of new work. We are talking about that in a panel later on. And I think we are on a good way with our skills, so with these female skills, for this new work area?
Well, there's some studies on that we need less directive leadership styles in times of uncertainty, right? And if I remember well, when I talked to you, Linda, you very much about the point which is important. You said, but we're here for business, right? This is a business case. So for the bottom line, how important is that for your business, that there is this diversity, that we achieve this, that there's an equal parity?
Yeah, so I personally have an issue with favoring women or discussing this skill or this, that. In this context of the conversation, we are hired by whoever or we are paid by our customers to do a job. And we're supposed to deliver results. It doesn't matter if you're pink or blue or whatever you are. This is why we're here. How do we produce great results? Right? And this is where your figures are really important. So when you have diversity in the figures with females, it does show that the results are better. So I think it speaks for itself. So I find it really, women and men and all kinds of people bring different things to the table. The most dangerous thing that I look at it from my perspective is when I have a group of people that are too homogenic, because then all what they do is confirm each other. It doesn't matter if they're all men or if they're all women. The women would do the same. They would just confirm each other. But if I have a diverse group, it enriches every participant in the group. And together, they create innovation or magic and strength.
Right. What you're saying is also in line with the recent McKinsey finding, who shows that companies that have more than 30% of women in their teams, they outperform all the other companies that have less than 30% of women. And that also applies to companies that have just a few women compared to none in the team. So that's a fact. It drives bottom line. Something I find interesting is because that is important, we understand. We understand there's a disparity. We understand it's different for each of us, how we experience it, and we do it also, we judge it from a privileged position, I'd say. We are in a privileged, I mean, we're standing up here, right? We're standing on stage. But for you, Franziska, when you're growing a business, you're growing your business not only for, you're very passionate about this topic. So how do you make sure that you have a diverse company culture?
Now, everything I say comes from someone who has a team of 8 women.
Okay. That's not very diverse.
Only woman.
So I think diversity, as Linda pointed out, I mean, means so much more than gender, obviously. And we also went through our fair share of experiences with a too homogenic team, perhaps, and then also diversifying a bit more. I think what I was saying earlier, I think number one is flexibility of work, just to make sure that people have the flexibility to work from different places, to work in different times. And I mean, even perhaps, and that's something that I also personally find very challenging, the whole discussion around how many hours of work should be the standard. And I'm someone, I don't think I'll ever work less than those 40 hours, probably rather more, but I completely understand the discussion. It's just also that obviously I also grew up in a certain culture where work was a very important part of who I am. Work means a lot to me and defines a lot of who I am. And so I think it really needs a broad discussion with different points of views on that. And we're trying to do our part on that. And then it's also, as I said, culture-wise, I think it's very important to stop women to behave like men, to become like men, because the male is the ideal in the work environment that we operate in currently, which hopefully will change with new work. And we need to find a way where we really learn from each other, but not only us learning from men and adapting in the best way possible, and thus making a career and being privileged. I mean, it perhaps means that our privilege is being very, very able to adapt. Great. And I think that's a little sad, but also a little true. And I think there are many ways to incorporate a culture which is a little different from that.
Linda, at Protel, I mean, you have huge teams, right? And they operate in various markets. How do you make sure that your teams are diverse?
So I think just on the male skill, I have met so many amazing men in my life who have taught me so much, and I admire them for that. And with that few women having experience on C-level, Where else should women look for experience? Of course we should look at male and their skills. Of course, it should enrich us as humans. It doesn't mean we have to, stand up and pee. It just means we take, sorry for the joke, right? But we should appreciate each other's skills and use all that valuable things, that man is not the enemy, the male role model is not bad. They're cool. There are some bad, but there's bad women too. So you asked me about Protel. So for me, my experience and what I've learned is that this very good German expression, the fish stinks from the head, right? So I have the fortune to manage a group of directors. So I've hired the most of these directors, and they have teams under them. I have one Arab, I have a British, I have a Dutch, I have Italian, I have a German, I have a gay, I have women. And together, I tell you, females is a non-topic. It's a non-topic with us. What we talk about is the business, because this group of people, they want to deliver the best to customers, they want to deliver the best to their employees, they are great in HR, they help each other, and they recruit accordingly. So what comes under them follows what they themselves mirror themselves in. So when they look at each other, when we sit in that group and we look at each other, that's what happens, right? That's diversity. So my humble opinion, but I'm very convinced that this is the way forward. I'm convinced in embracing each other's skills, because we can learn from each one of us. We can learn from patriarchal cultures. We can learn from all these different communities with all the letters, which I can never not remember. But we learn from each other, and that's what makes us richer. And that's how empowerment of all of us starts, including young men, if I may just say so.
Thank you, Linda. And I'm looking at the time. We have 5 minutes left, so there's many topics we didn't cover that we wanted to cover. We're not going to make it. So there's topics like, do we need an external imposed quota to make this change? What do we do with rigid companies where there is actually a male-coded environment? How do we change that? Because obviously we're looking at best practice examples, not really the comparison. So to close this panel, first of all, I want to check with Maike Schmidt from Hotelbird, who is actually managing our chat. Is there any questions from the audience? Yeah, come over here.
Great.
Please, everyone, meet Maike. We have a microphone, we do, right?
Another awesome lady.
Sorry?
Another awesome lady.
Another awesome lady, right. Is this switched on?
Come on stage, right? Stage?
Yes,
Stage
come on
time.
stage, please.
Hi.
So everyone meet Maike
Hi.
Schmidt from Hotelbird, so another
Nice to meet you.
fab lady of our industry. Go ahead, what's the questions?
So yeah, there are actually some questions about what's the mood and the vibe right here in the audience. So first of all, there was this question like, how many males are in the audience right now listening to this panel? And I said, it's a little bit hard to say because we have a lot of stuff going on meanwhile.
18.
So,
It's 18.
but I think this is not all male attendees here in the audience. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer.
How would you answer, like one keyword of each of you? How is the atmosphere?
50-50.
What's,
Equal.
it's quiet.
I would say equal.
Equal? Quiet?
I think I have
Diverse.
seen some really happy
That's an interesting
faces
keyword,
on the
Linda.
ladies, and I have seen some gentlemen nodding, and I really appreciate the gentlemen nodding, because that means that, they are the enablers here. Yeah, so keep nodding. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, there was again a similar question. So it was
Right.
not directly a question to you girls, but what's the percentage of women on the main stage today? And we quickly made an overview about that. And we think it's 30% female speakers on the main stage. Yeah, maybe there could be more. In future.
Of course, I mean, but you heard the facts, right?
We-
There is a
Female
disparity.
empowerment.
That's
Speak
not
up.
a question.
We discussed this beforehand because we said, okay, now, and Lea is coming across this problem all the time, trying to find women that actually want to be on stage, because it's the same risk that you're taking going into business negotiations. It's the same risk that you're taking going on stage.
And I think we also discussed that this is outside our comfort zone,
It is,
right?
it is, it is.
They're not feeling comfortable, just for the
This
record.
topic.
But it doesn't seem that this is not your comfort zone, Linda.
It's because I'm much older.
Oh, this is why.
And she's Scandinavian
You
too.
learn to fake it better. You acquire a few male skills, and then you can talk about anything. Yeah. No problem.
The poker face. It's the poker face.
Michael, was there another
So,
question?
yeah, that's basically it.
That's
I don't know
basically
if there's something happened since I'm here on the stage, but yeah, that's mainly it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, girls.
That was fun. I mean, now we have 2 minutes left. No, it's 1. The takeaways. So what's your giveaway, Linda? What,
I really want to say
Will you wrap it
this.
nicely in red paper?
Yes.
For the...
I really want to say this. I want, if you know, what can any one of us all change? I have one wish, and it's for the men. Please take paternity leave. 3 reasons. First of all, for you, spend time with your kids. Number 2, kids that spend time with their dads become better people. And number 3, by taking paternity leave and making it more common, the discrimination in the hiring process for women is also reduced. So that's my wish.
You have a wish?
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, really. No, I think we should leave it at this.
Okay.
Maybe,
Wanna add something?
just one little thing to add for young people, young women coming into the business. Do stuff that you want to do, like everything else that you want to really achieve and you want to proceed. And what I think is most important is that you feel comfortable in this surrounding that where you're hired and where you're working at and with the company that you're at.
So
and
find your right fit environment.
Yes, and then in this environment you will be able to grow, you will be able to innovate and really grow as a person.
Real quick, anything to add?
Yeah, for me, I just set myself the task to empower everybody, and not only women, not only young people, not only older people or whatever. And it's like with the communication, it's not possible not to lead. So you always lead anybody, and just prove it in yourself, and just keep it in mind.
Love it, thank you. Franziska, you want to add something too?
Well, I think it's time to end patriarchy, because I think at the end of the day, it's not serving anyone, like neither women nor men, and we have to, well, work together and learn from each other.
Right, thank you so much. It was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Lea.